Okay, alert, everyone. Big, massive, incredible, wonderful announcement.
Yeah, I can say it. Yeah.
You could, no, I want to say it.
Okay, you say it.
Okay, we're doing a thing.
We're doing a
Yeah,
thing March
there.
21st.
I said it. Okay, you go.
Okay. So on March 21st, we're teaching a class all about how to start your podcast. It's called
Boom.
Just Hit Record, how to start your
Boom.
podcast the next day. And we're going to teach you everything we know about starting a podcast, launching a podcast, sustaining a podcast, and how you can make it fun and easy and the best podcast ever.
Yeah. So it's going to be really fun. Going to be really fun, interactive workshop. I mean, and for the cost, it's worth it just for the opportunity to come and hang out with us.
Totally. Yeah.
But as a bonus, they're going to learn how to launch their own podcast.
Yeah. Learn how to launch their own podcast. And my goal with this is that they will be able to walk away and literally hit record
Yeah.
like the next day if they want to. If they apply everything that we teach them
Yeah.
and take it seriously and actually take action, they will be able to launch the podcast that they have
Yeah.
been thinking of and dreaming about.
Yeah. Even later that same day. Doesn't even have to be the next day.
Exactly. Yeah. You could be so charged up after the class because it's at 10 in the morning, right? So probably
Yeah.
like 10 to 11:30 or 10 to 12.
Yeah.
You could literally take the whole afternoon off and launch your podcast by that evening easily.
Yeah. So it's what, March 21st, 2024, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Starts at 7 a.m. California Pacific time, but 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a great time. So yeah, if you have an interest in launching a podcast, if you've been meaning to do it, if you need a kick in the butt, if you need the details, if you need the info, we're going to give you everything. We're
Yeah.
going to give you everything you
Including
need.
resources like where to host it, equipment that you're going to need, what you want to talk about, everything,
All
how
of
to
that.
edit. It's all in there. So if that sounds interesting to you, go to the show notes of this episode because I'm going to put the link to sign up there.
Yeah.
Um,
DM me the word podcast.
yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Not perfect. Podcast. DM me the word podcast.
DM me the word perfect.
DM Alana the word perfect. If you get it wrong, if you DM her the word podcast or me the word perfect, you're banned from the class.
Yeah.
So
So
get it
that's
right.
cool. I'm excited about this. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So there we go. Let's talk about whatever we're talking about. Oh,
Yeah, I
right.
don't know because I don't actually have the notes about what we're talking about. This is kind of a fun experiment. Ryan has the list of like what we're talking about, and I'm going to be surprised like the whole episode.
How do you know you're going to be surprised? Maybe you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense too.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be surprised. Maybe you won't.
Maybe I'll be like, this list is.
List stinks. What a silly list. Today we're talking about, we're in the tough love season. We're telling it like it is.
Yeah.
Tough love season 5 or whatever. I don't know. Episode
5.
95, whatever. Lots of episodes to this podcast. You can listen all darn week. Back to back episodes. And you should. You just have
Yeah.
it
Actually, I
playing in
wonder
the
how many
background.
hours. I wonder how many hours it is
Yeah.
of listening time.
Big shout out to Mary, who just has the podcast playing in the house, and she makes the husband. She'll listen
Yeah.
to it, kids. That's what you got to do, folks. It's
Yeah.
dedication.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're in the tough love season. Today we're talking about, what it means to be authentic on social media. People are tolerating the inauthenticity less and less and less
Yeah.
every month, right? There's so much pushback for against the phonies, against the liars, I don't know, call them what you will. But like I think it goes without saying. You want to be real. It's okay to lead with your best foot, but you want to be real, right? So
Yep.
we got ten top tips here on how to be true, how to be real, how to be authentic, specifically on social media, because social media is the place where it's really easy to fall into the trap of like putting up a facade.
Yeah.
Um, and so
Yeah.
here's 10 tips to make sure you stay authentic, which is good for your business and good for your clients and good for you and good for your
Yep.
heart and good for your soul, good for the economy, good for the pH level in your front lawn, good for everything. Just win, 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 win all the way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Tip number uno is be real about the hard work. Be real about the hard work,
Mm.
coaches, right? Emphasize that transformation requires effort and there are no shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
don't,
that.
we're not selling silver bullets. We're not selling shortcuts. The process is the shortcut. The journey is the shortcut.
Yeah. So what I take away from that is, and this is maybe the tough love piece, is don't market that way. Like don't put that type of stuff in your content, like through a quick way to overcome your limiting beliefs or whatever. Because people can see through that,
Yeah. And,
right?
and then, you might be attracting a different kind of client that you may not,
Yeah, exactly.
be super thrilled to be working with, right? Like, it's sort of like, selling counterfeit goods. Well, the people that show up to buy counterfeit goods are the kind of people that want to buy counterfeit goods, right? But if you
Yeah.
sell top quality, authentic goods, there's that word again, authentic.
Yeah.
People that show up are the people who appreciate, top quality authentic goods, right?
Yeah.
So,
And this is so key when it comes to writing your content. And I used to get really bogged down by this in terms of like who is the dream client and like that avatar, right? We were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. It's like when you hear the word niche, you're like demographics and all this kind of stuff. But it's
yeah,
like, who is the person that you love working with? And how would that person consume your messaging? Like
yeah,
that's probably the best piece of advice that, someone shared with me around like creating my messaging for Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is just like talk to the person that you really, really, really want to work with, not like just anybody who's going to give you money, right?
yeah,
Because that's the difference between creating content where people are going to be like, how do I work with you or send me the link now? And um, versus people who are going to be like asking you a billion questions and wanting to get on discovery calls and like humming and hawing, right? You don't want to be convincing. You want it to be like, yes, you're talking directly to me. That's exactly what
yeah,
I need right now. How do I pay?
yeah, yeah. Very true. Cool. Okay. Time is short. Life is short. Let's get through these other 9 points. They get it.
Life is
They're
short.
smart. They understand.
Yeah, they do, right? That's who we're talking to, hopefully.
We're speaking to those smart coaches who understand immediately.
Yeah. Okay. What's the next one then?
Cool. Number two, showcase the journey, not just the destination.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah.
kind
Show
of
them how
similar.
you do it.
Yeah, document what's going on.
Yeah.
Document behind the scenes, right? Show
Yeah.
people what you do. What are you doing? How'd you get here? What happened?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Sometimes this stuff is like hidden away. Like I did a human design reading. Shout out to Tiffany. I can't remember her last name right now, but she was talking to me about how, like, talking to my followers about how I create intimacy in my coaching. And I would never have thought to like talk about something like that on social media, but that's kind of the behind the scenes, right? Like it's not like, oh, me getting up and having my coffee in the morning, but it's like the behind the scenes of my business.
Yeah.
what it would be like to get on a call with me and explaining that, because some people may wonder or be intimidated, right? Like it's intimidating to some people to get on a Zoom call with someone. Like for us, it's second nature, but
Yeah.
for a lot of people, it's kind of weird. So it's just like, yeah, bring people behind the scenes of like what it might be like to be in a coaching relationship with you. How do you set up the call? Are there steps involved between like them signing up and you getting on a Zoom call together?
Yeah.
Like that's cool behind the scenes stuff that would be valuable to the people who are following you. And obviously, like behind the scenes in your life too.
Yeah.
People want to know who's the person as well.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So
Right.
don't just show the Ferrari parked in the garage.
Yeah.
I'd get that Ferrari. Very
Yeah.
comfort. Yeah. Cool. All right. Number next. This is a fun one. Can you guess what it is, Banks?
No, I can't.
No.
I don't
All
have
right.
the slightest guess.
Number three, how to be authentic in your social media marketing. No sugarcoating. No sugarcoating. And it says, use your content to speak truths that others shy away from. Address common myths and misconceptions in your field with honesty and integrity.
Mm,
And this might include talking about the limitations of hypnotherapy or coaching, debunking overnight success myths, discussing the importance of boring things like self-discipline and accountability. I added the word boring there for effect. Um, but yeah, that's a good one, eh?
yeah, that is a good one.
Don't sugarcoat it.
Well, I mean, I think another thing that I've heard before in this space around that is like the thing that you don't want to talk about, you should be talking about that. Like the thing that you're kind of nervous about talking about, or you're like, ooh, I don't know if I should say that because it might ruffle feathers, or, you know, if you have a strong opinion or belief about something, like talk about that because then that creates interest.
Yeah.
And it's also different. Like you're not following the pack of like what everybody else is talking about because that's kind
Yeah.
of boring, right? Um, talk
There's that
about
word. There's that
yeah,
word again.
yeah,
Boring. Boring. Yeah.
yeah. Like you don't want to have boring content.
No, that's true.
Um, but like just put yourself out there. Take risks, right? Take a risk and see what happens. As long
Yeah.
as you're not being offensive, obviously, but like um put your opinions out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And no sugarcoating, right?
And no sugarcoating. Yeah.
The big one there in that breakdown was like speak truths that others shy away from, right?
And that's what I mean when I say like a lot of people are afraid to talk about certain things. You know what I mean? So they talk about the same things, but I'm trying to think of an example, but
I think a good example of this, of the no sugarcoating, is that like we have a natural inclination to kind of want to give people what they want
yeah.
rather than what they need. And and like a lot of I'll give you an example. A lot of what I do today is business coaching and marketing coaching and sales coaching for coaches and hypnotherapists, right?
Yeah.
And kind of a common thing that coaches and hypnotherapists who are like growing their businesses is they want to sell their services without selling their services. Like
Mm.
they want sales to happen without sales happening.
Yeah.
And there's tons of business coaches out there that'll tell you what you want to hear. Oh yeah, you don't have to have conversations, you don't have to post content, you don't have to use ads, you literally don't have to do anything at all. And my system will give you the sales you deserve, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's sugarcoating it because there's always going to be later on down the road, yeah, but you actually have to do this work here,
Yeah.
and so not sugarcoating it would be like, hey, I can teach you how to get clients. I can teach you how to get your business to six figures, but you're going to have to do actual work and have conversations with people. Right. And
Yeah.
if that's not okay, I'm not the coach to work with. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So that would be an example of not sugarcoating it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Cool.
Great example.
There you go. Boom. You ready for the next one?
I am. Yeah.
Can you guess what it is?
No. Just tell
Can
me.
you guess it? We got six more. So can you guess any? Even if it's not the next one.
Let me guess. I can't even like think of anything it could possibly be right now.
How to be authentic on social media, you
How
know?
to be authentic. You got to show your face. People may not be showing their face and you need to show it.
Yeah, that's a good tip, but that's not on the list.
Bonus. That was a
Yeah.
bonus tip right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know faceless reels are really, really popular right now to grow and get engagement. And I think those are great if you're not a coach.
Yeah. They're great with kind of like sparingly, even if you are a coach.
Yeah, oh, for
It's
sure.
like
But like,
totality of circumstances. If you never show your face, you don't have a
yeah,
coaching business, in my opinion.
exactly. But what I'm saying is like these faceless accounts, like there's like faceless accounts that are like going crazy right now because it's like very popular and like they're just like growing followers and all that kind of stuff. But if you're a coach, you can't have a faceless account.
Yeah.
So you can use that trend, like you can hop on that trend, right? Like I do it too, but like it's not all that I do. Like I still pop in and show my face and have a talking reel with my head talking to
Yeah.
show the authenticity and that I'm a real person.
We can't talk about this because it's not on the list, though.
I know. This
Yeah.
was
So
the
we got it
bonus tip. You asked me.
midway. But I asked you to guess stuff that's on the list, not just make up other things.
I this
Okay.
was my guess.
Yeah, that was a good guess. That was a good
Yeah.
guess. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. Yeah. All right.
Number 5.
Number next. Uh, no, we missed
Number 4?
number four. You're trying to skip four? Got something against four? Number four. Encourage self-reflection is the tip. Prompt your followers with tough questions that encourage introspection. Ooh,
I like
yeah.
that.
That's
That's
good,
good.
actually.
It is
That's
good.
good. That's good.
Well, I was telling you before we got on record, I posted a reel yesterday that was basically just a visualization of someone giving you a box and what's inside the box. And the engagement has just been off the hook on this reel. People are telling me like all kinds of stuff. They love it.
Yeah. So there you go.
And it's kind of like one of in terms of that tip too. It's rather than teaching all the time, right? It's actually giving your followers something to apply so they
Hmm.
feel like they're getting something.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's a good one. Encourage self-reflection. Have people look inward. And you can do this with simple questions.
Yeah.
If you can get somebody to, step out of their waking trance state, as you might call it,
Yeah.
their autopilot momentarily and look inward, that can be a very meaningful experience for many people. So yeah, do
That's
it.
how I've booked clients just by doing that tip.
Yeah.
Having a conversation with them about like, oh, well, what does that mean? And then taking it to the DMs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. There you go. Cool. I like that one.
yeah, it's a good one.
Lots of different ways to do that. Cool. Okay, number next.
Number
We got
5.
places. We got places to be here. Number 5. Set boundaries and talk about them. Set
Mm,
boundaries and talk about them. It says your authenticity includes knowing your limits and being clear about them.
mm.
Share how setting boundaries is a crucial part of self-care and professional integrity. This not only serves as advice, but also subtly sets expectations for your client relationships.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Do you have an example of this? I'm thinking like direct messaging, right? Like sometimes people I'm very like I would say open when it comes to like direct messaging with clients and stuff like that. But there's a point where it's like too much. Do you know what I mean? So like setting those boundaries in terms of like, okay, like we've kind of gone back and forth, but then you kind of sometimes have to put up this boundary that's like, let's talk about that in your next session, right?
Yeah, could be something like that. I mean, it
Yeah.
depends on what kind of coach you are, depends on what your niche is.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, setting boundaries is always kind of a topic of discussion in most niches.
Yeah.
Uh, and it doesn't need to be unpleasant.
Mm-mm.
We could tell stories. It could just be reminders. It's just like, again, it's not one of those things that's like exciting content. Like, hey, everybody, let's talk about saying no. Like
Yeah.
well, it can be exciting content, but like, just remember to keep it in there, right? And remember, this is the list of authenticity, right? And so
Yeah.
this could be one of those topics that people tend to shy away from that is actually important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good
Uh,
idea,
um,
actually. I'm gonna make note of that. I want to write something about that.
Boom. There you go. You're welcome.
Just got
Uh,
a content idea.
and for an example, like, again, we'll go back to my niche. I help people with their business. A boundary that coaches need to be setting is who they're willing to work with and who
Yeah.
they don't want to work with, right? You are under no obligation to accept every client who wants to work with you. If you don't want to work with somebody for any reason, you really don't need to,
Yeah. You can
right?
just say no.
Shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number next is number 6, and it's challenge your audience. And it says here, create content that challenges your followers to step out of their comfort zone. This could be through challenges, actionable tips, or simply encouraging them to face their fears. Show your audience that growth comes from facing and overcoming difficulties.
Mm.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's a good tip. It's
Yeah.
not
That's a
really,
good tip. I mean, I think it's a nice way to do storytelling of your own journey. Like, where have you stepped out of your comfort zone? Where did you used to be? And like how far you've come. I think that's
yeah,
always nice to share in your content. And that's how you show that you're authentic and like you're a real human being that, has worked through things and that's why you can have the authority to speaking the way that you are because you've done the work, quote unquote,
yeah,
to get
yeah,
to where you are now.
yeah,
Um, because, like we've had conversations about other people, like some accounts that just seem like they aren't coaches, but they're putting out all of this kind of like inspiring content and like kind of tips and tricks. But you're like, have you actually gone through the journey of, you know, being a coach or being coached or doing the work and all that stuff? And I think the other thing too, that I don't see a ton of out there is coaches talking about being coached right now in this moment, right? Like,
mhm,
I think that there needs to be more of a conversation online about the coaches who are working right now and doing really great work, but at the same time are being coached, right? Like
yeah,
both you and I think are on a regular basis being coached. Like over the last few years, I've been in multiple containers working with coaches, being a student, like all of the things alongside working with clients. And that's also the benefit too of like working with a coach who's being coached because you basically get the information like third hand or
yeah,
yeah, I guess third hand, right?
yeah,
So talk about that in your content. Like don't shy away from it or think like, oh, people are going to think that I'm not a very good coach because I'm being coached. I think that actually makes you an A+ coach.
yeah, yeah. Very, very true. And I very much agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coaches have coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you want to be continuing to learn and learning new processes and new techniques, and then you can use that with your clients.
Yeah. 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 And sometimes that's like one of the best things about working with a coach because they've invested tons of time and money and energy into being coached. So they're like combining all these other programs in their mind into their own. And then you're getting the benefit of everything that they've done too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Okay.
share that
Boom.
in your content.
Yeah. Okay. We got a couple more here. Number 6 was challenge your audience. Number 7 is be transparent about failures or
Mm.
setbacks. Share
Hmm.
about your own setbacks and what you've learned from them.
Yeah, I love
Uh,
that.
this this transparency not only makes you more relatable, but also teaches your audience that failure is not the opposite of success, but part of the journey towards it.
Yeah. Actually,
Oh,
before we got on record, I was like scrolling on Instagram and I saw a coach that I follow. She did a whole reel about how she's many times like rescheduled classes, canceled things, like all the things because she wanted to normalize that that happens even at the higher levels. If you're just starting out and you want to cancel something, like you go ahead and do that. We talked about it on the podcast when I canceled my retreat. I was all
mm,
excited about doing this retreat, and then I was like, it's not right for me. I didn't force it. I just canceled it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I
you're
remember
allowed to
that.
do that. It gives permission too to the people who are following you to do the same thing and not think there's something wrong with them.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. I like that, and I agree. This one, I think sometimes people hear this tip and go a little too far the other direction, where
Yeah. What do
it's
you
like a
mean?
highlight reel of suffering.
Yeah.
Uh, because they're trying to seem very authentic and they want to show the like the pain and the struggle, and then it's like they forget to show the upside too. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Some people go in that direction. Again, it's not like there's no blame or shame attached to it, but just like everything in balance, right? We want to,
Totally. Yeah.
if we're going to present, failures or setbacks, it's for the purpose of learning and deconstructing more so than, anything else, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like what was the benefit there?
Yeah.
The positive outcome of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. Shall we move on to the last couple?
Yeah.
Number 8 is promote a culture of accountability. Promote a culture of accountability. Encourage your followers to take responsibility for their actions and decisions. This is huge. This is
Mm,
such a good thing to do, and
yeah.
although not always easy. This can be through posts that highlight the importance of self-accountability or sharing tools and techniques that help in keeping oneself accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of, I mean, like in the NLP world, we call it being at cause, and like reminding your audience to be at cause is doing them a huge favor, right?
Hmm.
Uh, as if you're a coach in some way, shape, or form, your audience follows you in order to achieve greater results and get more success. And the more they are accountable for their own actions, the closer they are getting to the success and the results that they want, right? So this definitely is a huge thing to both demonstrate and advocate, I would say.
Yeah. Actually, my reel that I posted today was all about that.
Yeah.
That, your life that you're living right in this moment is 100% a result of your behaviors and thoughts and words prior
Yeah.
to today. And once you can wrap your head around that, then creating change seems easy and effortless,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because you can't control your environment. Like you can't control like what's going on around you necessarily, but you can control how you're responding to it. So,
Yeah.
because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, like, I can't get out of this and I can't do that. And like, okay, well, if you can't do those things, you can change the way you are thinking about it, the way you're talking to yourself, the way you are, moving on throughout your day. You can make lots of changes, even if you feel like you're stuck in like a circumstance that you don't love.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like constantly reminding. That's almost kind of like a intro post. You know how you're supposed to do like an intro post every month. Do a cause and effect reminder post maybe once a month too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah,
That's one of those a good core message to like
it is.
revisit
Yeah,
regularly, right? From different perspectives. It could be a one month, it could be a tip, another month, it could be a story.
yeah. Or like
Yeah,
how it's going for you in your life too, right? Like, or
yeah,
maybe when before you realized that, a story about, life before you realized that you rule everything that's happening for you,
yeah, yeah.
versus life now, how things have
Very
changed.
true.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
Cool. Love
Actually, I
it.
was listening to a really good podcast all about karma, because that's basically what it is, the law of karma, right? Cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this woman I follow. Her name's Tally Miller. And she's very, very authentic when it comes to just like expressing her own opinions, and like her opinions and the way her beliefs are, you know, very, not, I wouldn't say unique, but just like very out there. But
Mm-hmm.
I listened to her podcast and she was talking about karmic debt and black money and all this kind of stuff. It was so good. So I got into this whole like thing about karma and listening to other podcasts about it and like reading about it. Anyway, I've been in the whole karma vortex this week,
Yeah.
which has been fun. The
The
wheel of
karma
karma,
vortex.
just like looking at life. I'm like, what is this life
Yeah.
that I'm in right now? I can control all of it.
What's your karma score from 0 to 1,000?
Oh God, I have no idea.
I can send you a home kit. You just like you put
Spit
it in your
into something.
mouth. Yeah, and then you'd like there's a color guide and it'll tell you your karma.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
like your karma can go into like past lifetimes, right? So, oh my God, I was down a whole rabbit hole of like karma, but just like all the people that you interact with, your pets, like, we all have karmic debt towards each other, and we're just like moving through things. And like at some point, you know, you and I probably knew each other in a past life, and like we're owing each other right now by doing this podcast. Like it's just
Yeah.
is like such a rabbit hole that you go down, but it just like distorts reality for you for a while. Anyway, that's where I was. I was like walking my dog the other night and I was just like, oh my God, my mind was just like,
Sounds dangerous. Sounds dangerous to me,
yeah,
as wisdom often is.
I know.
All right, Banks, come on. We gotta keep this
I
ship
got to
on.
keep it together. I'm sorry. If
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
ever like I owe her something, clearly.
exactly. Exactly. Cat treats. You owe her cat treats. Okay, so that was number 8, promote a culture of accountability.
Yeah.
Um, Number 9 is offer no. Well, we're gonna bang out the last two at the same time. I don't know why.
Mm.
We're just gonna do it. Number
I like
9
it.
is offer no nonsense advice, and number 10 is highlight the importance of continuous learning.
Love it.
There's
I mean, self-explanatory.
no nonsense advice. Yeah, that's a good one, right? Um, there's so much good no nonsense advice, right?
Yeah.
Uh, for
Oh, that's
example,
always the
show your
best
face.
advice.
Yeah, show your face on
Show your
social media
face.
if you want to
Yeah.
sell coaching. Number 10, highlight the importance of continuous learning. Yeah, that's one of those like don't sugarcoat it things where it's like, especially back when I was more on the skills training side rather than on the business coaching side. Some people would come to like a hypno cert or an NLP cert being like, okay, I'm going to take this training and then I'm a coach and I'm ready to make money and I don't have to learn anything else, right? And
Yeah,
not really. Like you kind of need to be continuously growing and developing, especially in this field. Uh,
totally.
so, yeah, we want to have that. We want to advocate the importance of continuous learning. And I think in most fields, really, which is
Yeah.
kind of, it's linked to no nonsense advice. That's a type of no nonsense advice.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's really important to like, especially in this field. Actually, the same podcast that I was listening to, she basically scrapped her whole old way of believing in something and has like completely switched her process. And I thought that was so cool because it's just like, yeah, you don't have to be locked in to this one way of doing something, because that shows that you're evolving as a human, as a coach. And, if you're constantly learning, so it could be like maybe last year you really believed in something, but then you started studying something else and it's completely shifted your mindset towards like another way of seeing something. So you're
Yeah.
allowed to change that and talk about it because that's interesting,
Yeah,
right? To your followers.
definitely.
Like they're not going to be like, oh my God, I thought she believed this and now she believes this. She must be totally like weird. No, you're evolving, you're learning, you're growing, you're developing your process,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like art. It's like an art form.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I'm thinking. Like before we got on, I was trying to figure out like what do I do exactly? Because like my process has changed so much. But then has it? I don't know. Maybe it hasn't, but it's just developing.
Yeah.
That's all. It's developing, evolving, growing, learning. Can't
Yeah.
stop. Can't stop.
Can't stop. Don't even try.
Don't try. Yeah. Don't even try to stop.
Cool. All right. So I think we got them. There's your 10 tips.
Yeah. Good tips. Good tips. Be
Biggest
authentic.
biggest tip though is come to the podcast workshop
Yeah.
on March 21st at 10 a.m.
Yeah. I
Uh,
promise I won't go on crazy tangents
yeah.
in the class. I'll stay on
Yeah.
track and focused.
Yeah.
Um,
Right up until like the end of class. And then you can stick around for unlimited crazy tangents with Alana Banks. She'll go
yeah.
all afternoon.
I'll go all out.
She'll go all out.
Hours.
Hours.
I could go for hours.
Hours.
Hours. Um, okay. So yeah, so March 21st, save the date, not master class, it's a class on creating your own podcast. We got that going on. And that's it.
Yeah.
And then the podcast. The podcast.
And then what?
The podcast.
Yeah, the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I calculated at the beginning of the podcast, I was wondering how many hours of podcasting we have. 47 and a half hours.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So you could spend a full
Basically
time.
2 days.
Yeah. Two non-sleep days, or like
48 hours.
8 hours a day for 6 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So
Mhm.
get on it. Yeah. If
That's
you
a
haven't
lot of,
listened to every episode 3 times, everybody, like
yeah.
listeners, if you haven't listened to every episode 3 or 4 times, you're just scratching the surface. Got to go back.
Like honestly, go start at season one. Season one was actually really good.
It was great.
When I think about it now, like when we were brand new podcasters,
Yeah.
there's a lot of good stuff in those episodes.
Oh, it was all good.
I mean, every episode is good, but like even
yeah,
even our first season is good. And part of that, part of the secret to that, we're going to give you in the podcast class. Like, how were we so good in season one?
Yeah. We're going to give away those secrets in the class. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're rocking and rolling right from day one.
Right from day one. No problem.
Yeah, we're just regular people.
Yeah. No training in podcasting.
No formal. I don't have a PhD in podcasts.
No.
Lana doesn't have her master's in podcasts. I don't even have an undergrad in podcasts.
We just figured it out on our own pretty much.
Didn't even take podcasting in high school.
No.
Didn't exist.
No.
All right. There we go.
Okay. That's it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.